Pack Rat against Underworld Connections earlier, and just be better against a lot of stuff where Flock was a little bit weaker against those things, even though he did win the tournament.
Yeah. Also of note is that Seth does not have the Elixir in his deck.
At Thoughtseize here from Jared, we'll show you a Jace, a Dissolve, a Sphinx's Revelation, a couple of lands. Looks like 2 copies of Temple of Enlightenment and a Plains.
Very interesting to note that Seth led with Guildgate and not a Temple. I think you see most people are just like, I want to get my Scry on, but it's like, you don't necessarily know what you need at this moment. And if Seth does get Thoughtseized, and Jared takes like a key piece of what he's missing, like a Dissolve, for example, then maybe Seth can Scry to get more towards a 3-drop, and he'll value that a little more highly. So I definitely like that play by Seth.
There goes Sphinx's Rev. Manfield will pick up the grip and draw a card here. Don't get a great look at what he drew, but he will play a Temple now. So now it's time for Seth to Scry. We'll consult the grip before putting that card on the top or bottom. And it will go on the top before passing the turn back over to Boettcher. Boettcher draws a copy of Sign in Blood for the turn. Does have a second land to play. You see the Watery Grave as well as a Mutavault, Swamp as well. We'll deploy Pack Rat before passing the turn back. So we're gonna put Seth to the test right away. Knows Seth's hand for the most part.
Yeah, and I like that play a lot. I mean, it's very easy to say that Jared could just cast Sign in Blood that turn, right? And, you know, just develop his hand a little bit, give him more resources, but like you said, he saw Seth's hand. He knows that he didn't have anything. Now he has a Last Breath, but I do feel like putting pressure on them early, making them have to react, and if it forces Seth to scry into a card that he wouldn't otherwise scry into just to answer that Pack Rat, like a Supreme Verdict or something, like Jared is very happy with that.
Sign in Blood's gonna resolve now. That'll draw Boettcher 2 cards at the cost of 2 life. And we'll pass the turn back over to Manfield. Manfield will draw a card. When you always got Jace over there, if he decides to deploy Jace, he's gonna have to move it up because that Mutavault that's in play. I guess he doesn't have to.
Yeah, he certainly doesn't have to. I've seen a lot of blue-white control players who just play the Jace, draw a card or 2 off it, and then lose it to a Mutavault just because that eats up a lot of the mana on the black player's turn.
I think Dan Snow has like a brunch appointment or something. I'm not quite sure. He's up a game already, so.
Oh yeah, he's got places to be.
Yeah, he's got other things to do today, I guess. He's just like, I want my trophy, I want my money, and I'm leaving. So Jace is taking down. You see D-Sphere, Hollow Fountain, and a Mutavault. The lands versus the spell, and it looks like the lands are going to go to the grip. Chances are Seth does lose that Jace next turn, but he did pick up 2 cards off of it.
Yeah, I mean, and is that the worst trade? You get half a Time Walk, and you draw 2 cards?
I don't mind that. I mean, there's no guarantee that Jared will kill this turn. Like, I think the chances are high that he will.
I think you really want to.
Yeah, I mean,
things just get worse from there, you know? Next turn he takes it up, your Mutavault's only dealing it 1 damage, and it's much more difficult to remove.
So Mutavault does take care of Jace. You saw Boettcher play the Temple there as well. Manfield will play a Mutavault. 5 lands in play for him. And just simply pass the turn back over to Boettcher. Boettcher will draw. Copy of Desecration Demon. See if he wants to put the big 6/6 flyer out here just yet. Looks like he's going to lead maybe with a Nightfell Spectre instead, and that's what he will do. Manfield gives that the A-OK. Watergrave's going to come in and play tapped, pass the turn back. Seth will cast a copy of Jace's Ingenuity.
That's the one of. That is the 5th Sphinx's Revelation.
That is timely.
Yeah.
We have seen some players play Opportunity in that spot before.
Yeah, I think Ingenuity being a 5-mana spell that curves perfectly into Elspeth is basically what you want. Yeah. Opportunity is the slightly more powerful card, but again, these black decks don't give you all that time.
It's a good time for Seth to have that one. He will take advantage. He's going to play a Hallowed Fountain. Just pass the turn back over to Boettcher. Boettcher will untap those lands, take a draw here. Picked up a Mutavault for the turn. You also see a Swamp there as well. The Desecration Demon and a Hero's Downfall hiding out. But I think this game is going exactly the way Seth wants it to, and how I feel like game 1 goes a pretty decent amount of the time.
Yeah.
Jared's going to try to pick his shots here. There's going to be an Azorius trying to put that on top of the deck.
Yeah, I think Jared did pretty well in the early game, having like Thoughtseize, Pack Rat, Silent Blood. But now Seth is just kind of pulling ahead with like the Jace, into Jace's Ingenuity. Now he has a full grip, and you know, this is the part of the show where Jared probably starts drawing removal spells that aren't very good. And
you can tell right now, at least it feels like to me, that Seth is aggressively trading resources. He's, Charm your Nightfell Spectre, dissolve that Desecration Demon. He's probably trying to get his hand empty so he can maybe cast a Revenant of discard.
Right. And also just keep Jared's board clear, you know? Like, you don't want anything getting out of control. Yeah, you're at 20, you're pretty healthy, but I think it's much better to just stay at 20. That gives you a lot more time to potentially draw into his Sphinx's Revelation if he doesn't already have one.
There's a Spectre again. A Swamp from Boettcher, just going to pass the turn back. Nope, there's a Rev. The first one will be for 4. Manfield's going to go up to 24, but more importantly, he's going to draw 4 cards. And I know that you felt that game 1, Seth was going to do pretty well. I don't know how big of a favorite, percentage-wise, but things are definitely in his favor game 1.
Yeah, I mean, percentages are weird, right? It's like, you can say it's like 60%, 70%, I don't know. But we've seen Jared beat like the Rebel Red decks consistently.
Yeah.
Aside from Tom Ross, I think he's 4-1 against the deck over...
From what we've seen.
Yeah, over this weekend and last weekend, which is really impressive because his percentage is not 80%,
Yeah. Seth's going to consult that large hand that he has right now, figure out how he wants to move forward. I mean, right now he knows that he's got to worry about the Nightveil Spectre. He'd prefer, I imagine, that not hitting, and then those 2 Mutavaults that are back there. But he's got Mutavaults to trade with those Mutavaults, and I imagine that he's probably happy with those exchanges.
Yeah, kind of interesting how Jared has been sitting on those Mutavaults and not really pressuring Seth with them.
Seth's going to tap 4 mana. We'll play a Jace. That's going to tick down. So here's a Mutavault. There's an Azorius Charm, and that is Nylon.
Seth just wants more cards. He just wants to keep going.
It's hard to say no. I'm not really known for drawing cards, but I like drawing cards.
Yeah.
I like drawing cards in weird ways. Like, I prefer Life from the Loam to draw my cards.
Yeah, you're a weird one.
That's fine. I am who I am.
I'm surprised you were never on, like, the Silvergill Adept train.
I want to stay championship with that card.
Well, okay.
Yeah, take that. That deck stunk. That's not good. I had some Wake Thrashers.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I got it done with Merfolk. Silvergill Adept was like one of the only good cards in my deck, I think. Prozac tricked me.
Prozac loves Merfolk.
No. I'm not sure. Looking to maybe get in here with the Nightveil Spectre. He's also considering firing up these Mutavaults. He wants to get this Jace off the board, obviously. What the best way to do that is, I think that's negotiable.
Yeah. I mean, you kind of want Nightveil Spectre to hit Seth, right? Like, you have 3 cards. One of them's a Hero's Downfall, which is, it's okay. You can kill the Jace, but the damage is kind of already done. Meanwhile, Seth has a full grip. And one of the ways I think Jared could get back in this game is, like, hit him with a Nightveil Spectre, maybe hit a Dissolve. He does have 2 blue dual lands. Maybe if it's a Plains and, like, a Sphinx's Revelation or something, like, that's a way to kind of catch up. But other than that, I think he's probably in trouble here. He didn't have the connections going that he really needed to kind of, like, keep pace with Seth.
You see Jared point the Nightveil at Seth and the Mutavault's at Jace. Seth's going to go reaching for some mana here. We know he has an Azorius Charm in his hand.
Also a Last Breath.
Yeah. So he's going to take care of 1 Mutavault. Maybe charm the other one here. Yeah, so he wants to keep his Jace.
Yeah, try and get 2 more cards out of Jace.
Spectre will hit. Let's see what this card is. Verdicts. That's not the best one.
Yeah, it's probably not what Jared wanted, but, you know, there really aren't too many things that Jared could hit. Like, Dissolve would be the best one for now, I think, but Spectre is something that he wants to do work over the course of several turns, which is very unlikely to happen against Seth's deck.
Yeah, Seth has all these copies of Last Breath, which are quite good in the matchup.
Yeah, especially since Jared is one of the few people who's actually playing Nightveil instead of Lifebane Zombie.
Seth maybe considering a little attack with Mutavault here. Start to work away in the life total, and he says, you know what, I'll just pass the turn back.
This 2 damage, putting you to 22, doesn't really matter. At some point, Seth is going to cast a big Sphinx's Revelation, and then Jared will probably just concede, you know?
There's the Last Breath on the Nightfall Spectre. Again, Seth has 4 copies of Last Breath in his main deck for this tournament. Boettcher has 5 mana, boring old Gray Merchant. Just to drain and gain for 2. And Seth won't even let that happen. He's gonna syncopate that.
Absolutely not. You cannot have a 2-power creature.
Yeah, this feels like exchanging resources into a rev again.
Seth is very, very good at playing this game. Just Magic in general, but also just like the resource exchange game, keeping his life total high.
I can see now. It makes okay. He's got an Aetherling, so never mind. Now he's going to fire from Mutavault, get into the red zone here. I was thinking maybe this is going to be an Elspeth. He wanted to just play an Elspeth on a super clean board, but
sure.
Aetherling on a clean board is just as good, and Boettcher knows he's beaten. He's going to concede right away and focus his attention on the sideboard. So Seth Manfield's going to win game number 1 here in very decisive fashion. Blue-white control up a game over Black-Blue Devotion. As we will bring it back to the booth, it's time for our second trivia question. 6 months is what we'll be giving away here. Jerry's got the question, I've got the rules, hashtag SCG Premium. Make sure you're following SCG Live. We will announce the winner at the conclusion of our semifinal round, and as usual, all giveaways here on SCG Live are the sole discretion of Star City Games. Twitch.tv, though we do love them, is not affiliated with our giveaways. Fire away.
So we want this question to be a little bit harder, right?
Yes, since you're getting more.
Okay.
Yeah.
So a little bit harder. So we have 4 players in the top 4. Makes sense, right?
4 of them.
Which guild gate is among the 4 players' decks? There is one guild gate out of the 10 guilds that's seeing play. Which is that guild gate among the top 4 decks?
All right. If you can name the guild gate, there's one guild gate among the 4 decks.
Yes.
Okay. If you can name the guild gate that is in the top 4. Hashtag the answer with the hashtag of SCG Premium. Make sure you're following at SCG Live. And again, we will announce the winner at the conclusion of our semifinal round, as we will take a look at the sideboards now. We talked about them a little bit leading into the match, so we will start with Jared since he's on the play. And you can see things get a lot tougher for Seth here. 3 Lifebane Zombie, a Notion Thief, an Underworld Connections, 3 Doomblade, 2 Negate, 2 Erebos, and 3 copies of Duress. A lot of cards here for Jared.
Yeah, the sideboard makes or breaks this matchup. And I think that's kind of what Jared's plan is. Maybe lose game 1, that's okay, but he has Notion Thief, very good against Sphinx's Revelation. Underworld Connections allows him to keep pace with all the card drawing that Seth has. 2 Negates to stop any potential Sphinx's Revelations or Elspeths that come off the top of Seth's deck after he wrecks his hand with Thoughtseize and Duress. Obviously, the Duresses, Erebos is to stop the life gain, which kind of matters, but also is a good threat on its own and draws some cards.
On Seth's side, Tarkane Thins, 2 Fiend Slayer Paladin, 4 Nyx Fleece Ram, a Deicide, 2 Dispels, a Faded Retribution, 2 Gainsay, and a Negate. Again, the first 8 cards, those 8 creatures, they were huge against him in the burn, or huge for him, excuse me, in the burn matchup, but I don't expect to see them here. Deicide is pretty good.
It is good.
Yeah.
I mean, it trades with Underworld Connections, but also gets rid of all the Ereboses.
So I think we're going to see that one. Dispel targets, probably not very many. I mean,
not many.
Downfall.
Yeah, Dispel is pretty awkward because it lines up poorly against all the discard spells.
Negate's quite good.
It is pretty good.
And then Faded Retribution, it's kind of a weird one to actually see in the sideboard. You know, I feel like that's a card that Seth and the Swiss may have caught some people off guard with.
Yeah.
But when you see it in the sideboard and Jared actually has that information, I'm not sure how good that card becomes then.
Yeah, I mean, there are people playing the Planar Cleansing version of the deck, and then you see that Seth has some Detention Spheres or whatever, and then you're like, oh, well, I am free to overextend. And then Seth's like, well, actually, I have this other, like, kind of weird Planar Cleansing, and now you just got wrecked. But I'm not sure if that's going to come in here or not.
All right, well, both players are going to finish sideboarding up, and game number 2 will be underway. Again, Daniel Snow's up a game very quickly with green-white over Steve Rubin playing Black-Blue Devotion. So we will find out what's going on there when we can. And our Legacy Open is underway as well right now. Can see Brian Braun to win, Shahar Shenhar, Alex Burton Sr., Gerard Fabiano, Ross Merriam, bevy of other players doing battle. So we'll have that for you guys later today after we do finish our Standard Open and take our short little break. We'll join it in progress. It looks like probably round 4, depending on how long the elimination rounds of our Standard Open take here. But if it's up to Daniel Snow, it won't take very long at all.
Yeah, he's doing work.
Cutting people up with green-white.
It's always there, lurking in the background.
Yeah, just one in the top 8 or something. And it's like, I don't think anyone, it's weird, like, I don't think anyone, like, is like, man, I don't want to play against green-white. You know, that matchup's terrible for me. But they can just lose to it.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the things where you go back to your friends, you're like, oh, I lost to green-white. They're just like, oh, you know, that happens occasionally, you know. But, yeah, I don't think anyone's just like green-white is my worst matchup.
Yeah. What happened? I just got ran over by green-white creatures. Ah, okay, whatever.
Yeah. But Daniel Snow.
Mana is creatures.
Yeah, Daniel Snow quietly 9-1.
Yep.
Quietly won his top 8 match.
Yep.
Quietly up a game.
It's not going to be so quiet soon.
Well, we'll see.
Might be
We'll
the
see.
champion soon. Things are going to change here in a big way for Boettcher. I think we're going to see 2 much different games here. I mean, I kind of expect game 1 to go like that a lot, especially when Seth has Attention Sphere in his deck, so he actually can interact early. You know, where the Planar Cleansing versions can't. I mean, the Planar Cleansing versions are actually pretty soft to the card pack rat.
Right, and Seth also has 4 Last Breaths, too.
Yeah, that's true. So he's probably a little bit better against pack rat than the normal Planar Cleansing version.
Yeah, I've seen so many games, like Jared against Reduke in the, I don't know if it was quarters or semis or when they played, but he just ran over Reed's Planar Cleansing deck with pack rat.
Oh, yeah, quarters of the Season 2 Invitational.
Yeah.
Yep, ran him down pretty fast, actually.
And I was like, well, I know you don't have a lot of answers to this, so I'm all in.
Yeah, you can safely move in. Steve Rubin does tie things up against Daniel Snow, so Daniel Snow has lost his first game, the elimination round, so we'll see who does win that one. We could have a Black-Blue Devotion Mirror. We could see Green-White against Blue-White Control, very Pro Tour-esque.
Yeah, very.
That's in line. Jason Ford, a careful onlooker there behind Seth Manfield, a good friend of yours.
Yep.
Looks like he is not taking part in Legacy Open. I'm disappointed in Jason.
Jason is a casual observer at this point.
Slow down?
Yeah. I think his days of playing Magic are mostly behind him.
You say that like he's like old or something. It's like, oh, it's just kind of a casual. I think he's like 22.
Yeah.
It's just, I'm good. Just kind of hang out at tournaments now.
I mean, it's one of those things where maybe tournament Magic isn't for you, but all your friends are here.
Yeah, so you might as well come.
Right.
We've also got our, I mean, he could be playing in the Modern Mirror IQ later today.
I know for a fact he's not.
Loser. I'd battle. Give me a pod deck. I'd battle. Both players are going to take a look at their 7. Boettcher, that's a shake of the head. He doesn't look too thrilled with that hand. He's going back to the well. Seth
and checked out the top cards.
Well, I do that too. Seth, he can act like he's going to mulligan, but look, man.
You know him.
Yeah, I do.
You know better.
I do. Seth is not mulliganing. Under any circumstances, he's mulliganing. His hand would have to have, it would have to be really something.
Like a Mutavault.
Yeah, that has to be his only land for him not to mulligan. Like
Mutavault, 4 Revelations, 2 Elspeths.
If it's a Temple of Enlightenment, it's just 100% keeping.
Yeah.
I guarantee it. I'd bet everything that he would. But that's just Seth, so that's okay.
Everyone plays their own way, you know?
Who likes to mulligan more than anyone you know? There are people who hate mulliganing, like Gerard and Seth. Who likes to mulligan a lot?
So I like mulliganing in general. I don't like shuffling. So
everyone says that.
Listen, on Magic Online, I am far more likely to just click the button than I am to like pull the trigger in real life.
I love shuffling. Like,
I do. I mean, if I had cards right here, like I would be shuffling them.
Yeah.
Right?
I love shuffling. People are like, I don't like the fetch lands, got to shuffle so much.
But the problem is when you're in a tournament setting and like you just want to play Magic. Like I want the turns to happen. I don't want to shuffle while I'm supposed to be playing. But if I'm sitting, then I want to be shuffling.
Dude, I love it.
It's weird. I don't know.
I love it. You're so wrong.
I don't want my opponent to sit there and wait while I'm like mulliganing or like cracking a fetch land or whatever.
It's so good. I feel like I'm in the minority on that one, but I love shuffling so much. I remember when I was a kid and I would watch, like the pros play when I was like 15 and stuff, and how they would like, snap the cards back and forth their hands and stuff.
Yeah.
I would just sit like watching TV with my dad, and I would just do that because I wanted to be like the pros, and then like I learned how to just like shuffle well. I just love shuffling so much. A Thoughtseized here from Jared. Gonna start the show. Got 2 dissolves. a Banishing Light, and a couple of lands here. 2 islands, 2 plains. So no blue-white dual lands, no scry lands, no mutavaults, none of that cool stuff, but a pretty good hand.
Yeah, basically perfect mana. I mean, all 3 drops, but a lot of redundant answers to things. This is another one of those situations where if Jared has a pack rat, he might just like seize the initiative, take the Banishing Light, and just like shove on it.
Just go for it. It would force Seth to draw Detention Sphere or Supreme Verdict. I don't hate it. There goes the Banishing Light. So let's see what Seth has on his first turn.
So I think he drew a Temple of Enlightenment. Just trying to figure out, should I play this now? Do I know what I want?
Duress time. So no pack rat. So Dissolve's going to leave. And Jared working with basically perfect information. Doesn't know the card that Seth is going to draw. Seth will draw a card. He's left with a Dissolve. He will play a Plains. Pass the turn back over to Boettcher. Boettcher will draw. And that's not a land.
I saw an Underworld Connections, and that's what he was setting up. And that's part of the problem with these black decks is that you have all this discard, right? But whether or not you get to do anything is the important part. So he shredded Seth's hand, but he's just not doing anything. Give Seth plenty of time to draw out of it.
You saw the way he drew his third card, or his card for the third turn. You know, like he circled around the table. It's like, come on, I need a land.
Hit me, dealer.
Yeah, and he just didn't hit. And now Seth is actually kind of, I mean, I don't want to say he's running away with the game, but he's just hitting his land drops and passing the turn back. Don't have a great idea what the texture is of Seth's hand. Jared's land right now is a Temple of Deceit, and that's one of the cards you could have drawn for the third land. The land he was looking for to play Connection. So, it's not a guarantee that his land would even came into play untapped, but he did not find it in a timely manner. And you have to put some real pressure on these blue-white decks because then the revs start firing off. Seth is comfortable attacking with Mutavault here, for example. He's going to play a land just past the turn back.
Well, honestly, a Mutavault attack is pretty safe after board, right? Because Seth's creatures are an Aetherling. You can't imagine Jared keeps in too much removal, especially like of the 2-mana variety.
Yeah, that's true. No Bile Blights or Devour Fleshes running around.
Yeah.
So now Jared has to decide, okay, what am I going to run into your counter magic? Because I know you have a Dissolve left, so I'm going to start with a Lifebane Zombie. Do you care about that? Because in a perfect world, Jared is going to resolve his Underworld Connections and work his way back into this game. So I don't think that's where he wants to lead, because he knows that's going to get countered right away. So now he's got to go with test spells and say, all right, Lifebane Zombie, I'm not going to hit anything, but it is, a clock, so do you want to take this? And the answer is yes, I will dissolve that.
And how much of that do you feel like Seth doesn't want to give any information away?
Yep. Solve Scribe's top card to the bottom. Seth is going to come in here with Mutavault yet again. What this means to me, if Seth is attacking Mutavault, it means he doesn't have a Rev.
Yeah, you would think he would keep open the 6 mana so that if Jared drew a Thoughtseize or Duress, he could just Rev for 3 in response. Could also mean that he has 2 Revs.
That's fair.
Or 0, yeah.
Jared going to go with the connections here. See if this resolves. Seth's already down 2 dissolves. Doesn't mean he doesn't have answers, but looks like that is in.
And that's a start.
Yep. Now, Jared's got to make sure he activates this on this turn. I'm not sure if he did. We saw that once before. Okay, he's going to dissolve this. Never mind. So that's taken care of. And Seth's going to leave that on top. Don't know what he left. But it was pretty quick. There's an island. This is a window for a card like Aetherling to come down, but it's just another attack with Mutavault. So Seth is just continuously chipping away, and there's an Elspeth. That'll work just fine.
That is basically an Aetherling.
Yep. Seth's shields are down right now, but he's at such an advantage he can do that. There's 3 Soldier tokens.
And you see Jared's hand with another Underworld Connections, a couple Desecration Demons, which are not very good against that Elspeth. And it was, those 2 missed land drops that set Jared behind. He would have much rather had that sort of exchange 3 turns earlier, where like he would have had 3 extra turns to potentially play spells, and Seth would have had to answer them or else just be under the gun. So Now he's just way too far behind. Even if he actually removes that Elspeth with a Hero's Downfall or whatever, you know, he's still pretty far behind.
Yeah, those are exchanges that Seth is fine with Jared making.
Yeah. Kill my thing, okay. I have 3 soldiers and a Mutavault. You're at 10 life. Take it for 5.
2 turns. Until I move on to the finals. You can tell Jared knows that he's in some serious trouble. I don't know if there's a way out. He's going to play a Mutavault to start. You know, playing Grey Merchant is okay, but he's just going to deploy connections. Pass the turn back, probably with the intentions of deploying Grey Merchant next turn.
Yeah.
To get a little bit of life back.
Yeah, but really, once Seth has 6 soldier tokens, it's very unlikely that Jared kept in something like Bio Blight, and those soldiers are almost certainly just going to kill him.
Seth is going to keep the pressure on. It's an attack for 5. Okay, has not activated Elspeth yet. Boettcher's going to go down to 5. Seth will move the elevator up on Elspeth, so here come 3 more soldier tokens. That's a land. And Seth is comfortable just passing the turn back. Boettcher's going to go down to 4. Looks like he may have picked up, yeah, another copy of Desecration Demon. Those are so poor right now. Draws a copy and a gate.
That would have been pretty nice a little bit earlier.
Yeah. And we expected the sideboarded ones to be a lot more competitive, but things did just not break Jared's way in this game. Really needed that 3rd land. Started off with 2 discard spells, which is what you want to do ideally.
Yeah.
Seth's hand wasn't great. Took a Banish Light, took a Dissolve, left him with 1 Dissolve. Didn't draw the 3rd land on time for Underworld Connections, and things kind of spiraled from there. And Boettcher has his customary 25 lands in his deck, and he will extend the hand. So Seth Manfield is going to win this match over Jared Boettcher. And Blue-White Control is moving on to the finals, where he will play against either Daniel Snow, playing Green-White Aggro, or Steve Rubin playing Black-Blue Devotion. We will find that out.